Hi, this is CWilliams, and this is the setup for my primitive game for the class. I have my 6 baubles, I have 6 marbles, and I have a dice for each player playing the game. There can only be 2 for this game. The idea of the game is that for each player, they are a tribe of hunters scouting and hunting the same set of animals. You will decide how the animals move based on dice rolls. After deciding who goes first in the game, which you can use a dice to roll, someone can roll the dice, the other person can call heads or tails, or odds or evens, and you'll move on from there. In the player's first turn, they roll their dice, and they can get one of 4 outcomes. Even though there's 6 sides to the dice, there's 4 outcomes. You can get a 2 or a 4, which, both evens, would be a good roll. That would move an animal towards you. There's only... And you would use a marble to hold its place in the original line, just so you know where it goes back into the line. You could roll a 3 or a 5, which would move the animal towards your opponent, which would be quite awful for you. Or you could roll a 1 or a 6. The 1 would move the animal back, regardless of where it was, back to its original position. If you rolled a 6, it would move the animal in the same direction it had already been going. An animal that has moved twice in the same direction belongs to your opponent, or belongs to you, once it's moved that direction twice. That means that you have successfully captured or hunted the animal. To capture 3 animals means that you win. So, in this version of the game that I've created, a player would make 1 roll, a 4, which means I can move an animal in my direction. In this version, you can move any animal of your choice. So, if I choose to move this one in this direction, I place a marble in its place, and that ends my turn. If my opponent were to roll, they got a 6. 6s and 1s have to move an animal that has been moved already. It does not move an animal that is in place because it doesn't have an origin position and it's not moving in any direction. So in this case, the 6 has to affect this guy, and so he would have to continue in the same direction he's already going, which my opponent would just give me an animal for the win for that turn. So you can cause your opponent to win, or you can, cause yourself to win. So you can no longer fight for this animal. If I were to roll again, I got a 1. It affects nothing on the board because nothing has moved. So if my opponent were to roll for another turn, 4, they just choose an animal, move it towards them once, and use a marble in place. Now, if I were to roll a 3, or not a 3, 2 or a 4 in my favor, I could, instead of moving 1 towards me and placing a marble, even though this would put me closer to winning, I could mess up my opponent's game by moving their animal back in place. So you can go back and forth and cause disruptions to your opponent. And that's...
It's 11:30.
Basically the end of my game. To win is just to take 3 animals from the board. And that's about it.